Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez is speaking now. She's angry at the mayor of New York, says he's not showing leadership on the illegal immigrants flowing into the city. Watch.
And that we are joining with the city and state administration.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here with Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez and members of our delegation as well as other members.
Chris, chaos erupted here outside the Roosevelt Hotel, which is currently serving as a migrant intake center. 12 House Democrats were here to tour the site and weigh in on the migrant crisis. It's also the first time we've really seen such a large showing of House Democrats together on this issue. But we're going to show you this video here. Protesters shouting on bullhorns, chanting, "Go back to your country," drowning out the congressional leaders and forcing them to leave before they could answer some really important questions.
So now, as you can see, the people in New York ain't having it no more. The Democrats tried to come out and try to say, we're pro-immigrant. They're like, no, they didn't even allow them to speak. Let's talk about what's going on. All right, we are back with another video, and now we're back in New York, and just so everybody understands what's been going on, it's that the migrant crisis in New York has become insane. Now, the people who you see on screen now is the Democratic congressional delegation, and they, were giving a news conference about, hey, we're pro-immigrant. And this is because of the mayor. He was like, hey, if we don't fix this problem, it's going to destroy the city, right? We don't have the money to do all this. So they're upset at him, so they're now coming out and trying to show that, hey, we're still pro-immigrant, keep sending them up here, that type of stuff. But the people of the city of New York have had enough of the BS. And they came and shouted them down. They shouted down the congressional delegation. Check this out.
The American dream. We believe in it, and we will fight for it. With that?
Yes, and ultimately, I think that there are 3 points of consensus here that are very important in getting a solution to this issue. The first is that there is consensus here across geography and states.
That is why I support additional funding for the shelter services and program in the supplemental budget to give additional resources to New York and other cities welcoming migrants. Unfortunately, House Republicans seem set on defunding the Department of Homeland Security and shutting down our government. I also led a letter with Immigration Subcommittee Ranking Member Jayapal and over 100 of our colleagues to urge the administration to use all the tools available to them to provide stability to asylum seekers and undocumented immigrants in our communities. The administration has the flexibility to provide faster access to employment authorization.
Wow, New York City representatives, along with the Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, dealing with a shout fest right here in New York City. They are ready for close the border, and anti-illegal immigration is their stance. And some of the words got pretty colorful, and they were drowning out the Congresswoman and other Democrats who were there.
Okay, so let's talk about what's happening. Why has this border crisis gone from something that was manageable under the Trump administration to something that's just totally unworkable under the Biden administration? Let's talk about the facts. So during the Trump administration, the policy that administration enacted stated that migrants who traverse through another country before reaching the United States were automatically deemed ineligible for asylum. Now, the perspective here was that if an individual was fleeing one country for asylum and had already found refuge in a different country, then their primary need for asylum had already been fulfilled. Therefore, leaving that intermediary country to come to the United States was not seeking asylum, but rather a preference for the United States. Now, the Trump administration also required asylum seekers to wait in Mexico for their U.S. immigration hearing. Now, Biden changed all that. See, Biden stopped the Trump administration's policy of requiring migrants to wait in Mexico and allowed early entry into the United States to await hearing. Biden also allowed migrants to pass through the other countries, and when they got here to the United States, they could present a rebuttable presumption of ineligibility. This allowed them to come to the United States and argue why they didn't remain in the country they passed through or they found asylum in, instead coming to the United States. So, for instance, if you were coming from Venezuela, you made it to Mexico, your asylum needs are essentially met, and you'd have to go to court and say, well, hey, why did you stay in Mexico? Why are you coming to the United States? you've already got asylum. And Biden also allowed exceptions for children. Now, Biden's policy led to an explosion in migrants. Asylum seekers were entering the U.S. at record numbers. Border states like Texas and Arizona were especially hit hard with migrants who were just coming and saying, hey, we want asylum. For example, under Trump in 2020, the amount of migrants coming through the border was about 450,000 that year. Under Biden, we're averaging 2 million migrants. So now you don't have to believe me with how bad the policy has gotten. Let's go to the U.S. Customs and Border Protection website and look at the numbers for us. You can look at the numbers for yourself. These numbers are open to everybody. So we're looking at the fiscal year Southwest land border encounters by month. These are the numbers that are held from the government. Now this is fiscal year, so this is really October 2021 to September 2020. So this is fiscal year 2020. And as you can see, this red is Trump's last year in office. And as you can see, it was all good. The most they got was 57,000. And all of these other years are the 3 years Biden has been in office. So as you can see, as soon as Biden got in there in 2021, it went up 20,000 and then it has skyrocketed. So now you're getting about almost 200,000 people per month crossing that land border. Where back in the day, you're getting about 50. So you're about 4 times more. And where you're getting maybe what? For a year, because they did the fiscal year. For a fiscal year under Trump, you were getting about 458,000. But now under Biden, this year alone, you got, in 2021, you got 2.3 million. And this year, you're on track to do about the same. And as you can see, red is Trump, all these other years of Biden, it is going insane. Insane. So obviously, Biden's policies of just letting everyone in is causing this crisis. This crisis is not being caused by the previous administration. This crisis is being caused by Biden's policy. It's clear from their own data. Now, it's interesting how times have changed. So when Texas started first busing migrants up to the city, you had articles like this: 140 migrants welcomed from NYC from Texas in largest single day arrival. Now there's like 5,000 or 6,000 coming in there. But you can see they have the elected officials out there shaking hands, welcoming them in. They had all these, NYC employees, you're giving them all this stuff. They had things to play for with the playground. They even had our Jewish residents. Here, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, right? Everybody bring us as many migrants as possible. So this is what the city was doing, right? This is what was happening. Now, I want to play a video for you of how migrants are happy to take these 3 and 4 day bus rides, in air-conditioned buses, obviously, to go to New York. Check this CNN video out.
These migrants at this shelter in Eagle Pass, Texas, most from Venezuela, have all just crossed the Rio Grande from Mexico into Texas, surrendered to the U.S. Border Patrol, received future immigration court dates. And some are about to board this bus for a 1,700-mile trip to Washington, D.C., a plan started by the Texas governor in April. Some people say it's cruel. But this story may not be what you expect. Listen to these migrants, like 28-year-old Genesis Figueroa from Venezuela.
Are you taking the bus? ¿Tú eres tomando el bus a Washington, D.C.?
Hoy sí.
Today, yes.
Sí. Sí.
¿Tú eres feliz? Are you happy?
Sí, sí.
And listen to those who advocate for the migrants.
They want to go in these buses.
Valeria Wheeler is the executive director of Mission Border Hope, a nonprofit organization which serves this border community in Eagle Pass and operates this shelter for the recent arrivals. She's aware of the political component to the long bus rides, but says many of these people want to go to Washington or New York, the 2 locations where the Texas state buses are going.
And you're saying no one is being forced to go on these buses?
No one has been forced.
They're going on it because they want to?
Yes.
It's a free ride to New York or Washington?
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of people come to the shelter each day. The people who work here say it's an average of about 500 people daily. Many of these people have family in the United States, family with money, and in no time at all they'll be in their family's hometowns. But other people here have no family, have absolutely no idea where they're going to go next.
Genesis Figueroa has no family in the United States, but she traveled a month and a half by foot, bus, and boat to get here.
Me enfermé.
She says, I got very tired, my legs hurt, and I got sick. I came down with pneumonia. I was hospitalized for 3 days in Guatemala. Genesis says she does have friends in Washington. So she says she and her husband are happy to take the Washington bus.
Washington, D.C. has 40 horas, 40 hours.
Ay, sí, es mucho tiempo.
Much time.
Pero ya tenemos bastante tiempo.
She says, we've been on the road for so long, we don't mind 2 or 3 more days. Cousins Luis Pulido and Aina Garrido took 6 weeks to get here from Venezuela, and then something horrible happened. Luis says, we left in search of a dream, but now it's a very difficult, hard situation because this trip took my brother's life. Tragically, Luis's younger brother Juan disappeared when they were all swimming across the Rio Grande. Shelter officials had just informed him Juan's body was found. He had drowned. The cousins say they will go ahead with their plans and take the Washington bus.
Chicago.
Luis says our destination is Chicago, but adds they will get off the bus along the route in Kentucky, and their relatives will pick them up there. The executive director here confirms the buses have indeed let off passengers along the way once they get out of Texas. The time has come for the bus to leave. Genesis Figueroa gets processed by members of the Texas State Guard, and so do cousins Luis Pulido and Aina Garrido. And then 41 men, women, and children come out in the blazing sun to board the bus for the 40-hour ride. Genesis says she's ready.
Listo.
She says she hopes to support her family back in Venezuela by cleaning, cooking, or doing office work. Luis and Aina said they'd like to help their families by working in the restaurant business.
Thank you, Infinity, thank you.
The bus pulls away, each passenger we talk to saying they appreciate getting the air-conditioned bus ride to what they hope is a much better road ahead.
But now it's the blame game. The mayor of New York City, he blames the governor and the president. The governor blames the mayor and the president, and Biden blames everybody else. But let's just understand, based on the numbers, based on what you've already seen, the person who to blame here is Biden. He could have continued the Trump policies and you would have had 4 times less, right? We have a 4-fold increase in the amount of people coming across the border. He could have stopped that, but he opened up the border and wanted these many people to come in because don't forget, any type of reasonable border policy was racist. And now those people who said they were racist are now have to suffer the consequences. I don't believe the New Yorkers are going to vote out those Democrats. You know why? Because they're okay. They're okay with suffering. So you know what I say? Let them continue to suffer. If I was a governor of Texas or Arizona, I'm sending them on every immigrant possible, right? Again, I want to make sure we're talking about illegal immigration, not legal immigration. But I'm sending them everyone possible and let them suffer. Because I think this is what's going to change minds. Sometimes you can't be told. You got to feel the pain. And I think that's exactly what's happening now. I think New Yorkers have to continue to feel the pain because that's when AOC and the rest of these idiots will be out of a job. But let me know. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comment section. Do you think it's not Biden's fault? Do you think it's someone else's fault? And, you know, I will say this. I think the only thing this crisis is doing is putting more people into Republican hands. Because eventually you can fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool everybody all the time. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'm out of here. Peace.